My name's Melanie.
My name is Taylor.
My name is Jacob.
My name is Lexi.
I'm a musician,
I'm a gamer,
I'm a brother,
I am a girlfriend,
makeup artist,
a sister, a daughter.
boyfriend,
a sister,
esthetician,
I'm a wife,
musician, and a son,
a daughter,
girlfriend,
a teacher,
an artist,
a student.
daughter, aunt, sister.
and a gamer.
and I am a mom to two amazing little kids.
My favorite thing to do is probably to spend time with my family. I also love playing the piano. I like spending time with Ollie, my little tuxedo cat. One of my favorite things to do is also to decorate. Now that I have my own place, it's constantly consuming my brain, and I am okay with that.
My favorite thing to do would probably be spending quality time with my family, or even just relaxing on the couch with a movie and my cats and my kids. As a young working mom of two boys, it's definitely hard to come by relaxation, so I like it wherever I can get it.
My favorite thing to do is hang out with my girlfriend. That and play video games, watch some TV. I like to get inspired a lot. I like to be inspired by what I watch because I inspire to do film someday. So I like watching stuff and getting their ideas and being like, I could have done that differently.
My favorite thing to do is to paint.
I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety back in 2013, around the 8th grade freshman year of high school, and then later on down the line I was re-diagnosed with bipolar disorder instead and ADD, and then I haven't been diagnosed with it, but it's very clear that I also have PTSD.
I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression when I was in middle school, so probably back in like 2009-ish.
I was diagnosed back in 2017 with manic depressive bipolar disorder, clinical depression, anxiety disorder, and PTSD. It hasn't been fully diagnosed, but I know I do have it.
I have struggled with bipolar depression, anxiety, and night terrors for the past 6+ years of my life.
I would say the first sign of my mental illness, I would remember things around 2nd, 3rd grade. I never knew how to explain it when I was little, but my brain would just kind of kickstart and start going 1,000 miles an hour, and I would panic and freak out, and I did not know how to explain what I was feeling, but now that I know, they were anxiety attacks. I would say depression started kicking in around 6th grade. I would have to have my mom drag me to school some days along with those anxiety attacks, and it just got progressively worse.
The first signs I noticed were panic attacks. I had really bad mood swings, and I would feel incredibly sad one day and then I'd feel totally fine the next day. I would cry like for seemingly no reason at all. Little things that would make me feel really upset, like if I made a mistake or I got in trouble for something, I would feel very worthless about myself. I also got stomach aches, very bad stomach aches, to the point where I was stressing out so much. My mom took me to a doctor when I was 13, and they did an ultrasound on my stomach to see why my stomach was hurting so bad. I actually had given myself a bunch of stomach ulcers because of the stress that I was putting myself under.
My first signs that I remember was just being a very emotional kid. I was 7, 8, 9 years old, maybe younger, and I was so emotional. I don't know why. It affected me as a kid. I mean, I would cry over everything. I would get mad really easy and start shaking, and then I would get so mad that I'd start crying. It just always ended in tears.
I'd say the first sign was like intense mood swings that I couldn't get out of and surreal nightmares.
Some tasks that my mental illness has or still does make difficult sometimes. It used to be near impossible for me to get up out of bed and even go to school. Getting into public places when my anxiety was probably at its peak was really, really difficult. I would still say sometimes getting up out of bed and functioning, even if I'm working from home right now, getting dressed, showering, sometimes it's the basic tasks that everybody can do. This can be different based off of what triggers your PTSD or what caused your PTSD, but little things for me like hearing fire truck siren, hearing specific songs that were played around that time, absolutely impossible at this point to like listen to or not get some form of flashback.
I would say for me, probably the hardest thing to do would be just getting out of bed. I would feel dread every single day. I didn't want to get up. I didn't feel like there was a point. I didn't care about my school. I didn't have any motivation to do my homework or get good grades. grades, and in turn, I did barely pass my classes in high school and in middle school. I just did not want to do anything at all, pretty much.
What task is my mental health roadblock? What is my biggest hurdle? I mean, school right now. I haven't graduated. I'm 19 years old. Seeing all my friends graduate sucks.
Made it really hard to get sleep at night. It's made it hard to go to school. It made it hard to complete schoolwork, to focus, to just function at work.
I've seen 4 or 5 different therapists. Did it make my mental illness go away? No. It teaches you how to kind of cope with it and how to manage different triggers and parts. I feel like the main thing that therapy taught me wasn't how to get rid of my mental illness, but was how to stay in tune with myself when I am struggling.
I think that seeing a therapist would definitely help someone who's struggling, because it gives you a chance to talk to somebody that might understand a little bit of how you're feeling or what you're going through. They also are able to give you some helpful tools to help you cope with your mental illness, even at home.
I have been to therapy. Was going to therapy since I was 9 years old to about like 18. I thought about going back just to have someone to talk to. Yeah, therapy, it did help. My mental illness did not go away because of therapy. What therapy did for me is it showed me ways to cope with it and ways to work with it.
I went to therapy for a couple of years, and I just recently have been seeing a psychologist. I don't think therapy made it go away. I think my most recent therapist made it easier to cope.
I was put on a lot of antidepressants. I was put on Prozac a few times with an abundance of different mood stabilizers on top of it. Zoloft, lamotrigine, like I said, Prozac, Abilify, a bunch of different SSRIs. I also was put on medication for my ADD. Now that I was re-diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I am on a mood stabilizer called oxcarbazepine. I think I'm pronouncing it right.
For me, I was prescribed Paxil when I was 13 after that visit to the doctors, and they saw the ulcers. They put me on Paxil, which is an antidepressant, and then they also put me on some sort of birth control pill.
Have you ever been on medications? Yes. Actually, I'm still on medications to this day. Without my meds, I would still be where I was in 2017, I think. It was just out unbalanced. I've been on many different mood stabilizers, sleeping pills, some ADHD meds, antidepressants.
I am currently on lamotrigine, prazosin, and trazodone.
Some physical symptoms of my mental illness, I would say the first one would be stomach pain. I either sleep way too much or I don't sleep at all. Not being able to catch my breath, not being able to fall asleep, nightmares, headache, really bad fatigue. Memory loss has been a big one for me. My weight does fluctuate as well based off of how long I'm going through a depressive episode or what's going on.
Some physical symptoms that I would experience: headache, loss of appetite, I'm very tired, still the stomach pains, like lethargic, shaky.
For me, my mania, when I get manic, I feel it. It's just this weird feeling. I just feel like I can do whatever I want whenever I want.
Some physical symptoms were probably not being able to stay asleep. My stomach always hurt. I was always nauseous before doing things that I didn't want to do and going places I didn't want to go, meeting more than one person. I had a lot of headaches.
What are some things that people have said to you that don't understand what you're going through?
You're fine.
You can't keep doing this.
That was a failure.
You're fine.
It's no big deal.
You're fine.
To get over it,
It's all in your head.
Deal with it.
You're doing this to yourself.
stop faking it.
I'm doing it to myself.
It's all in your head.
You have a roof over your head.
It's for attention.
I'm looking for things to be upset about.
You were fine yesterday.
Looking for things to overreact to. Generally being called a liar.
Probably the worst one, someone saying it's not that bad, because at the time it did feel that bad. And for someone to say that, it felt like they didn't understand me or I wasn't seen and my feelings didn't matter.
Have you ever had any suicidal thoughts, plans, or ideas? Yes, yes, and yes. I went through high school not expecting to make it out, so.
I have struggled with suicidal thoughts. I got to a really low point when my second baby was born. I struggled very bad and would have suicidal thoughts. They called it postpartum depression, but I remember one time distinctly, I was on my way to work and it was shortly after my baby was born and I just didn't feel the want to carry on anymore, which made me feel awful. I felt very guilty because I knew that I had 2 little boys at home that needed their mom.
Have you ever had suicidal thoughts, plans, ideas? Yes, I did a lot, pretty much every day in 2017. If I wasn't manic, then I was extremely depressed, so.
Have you attempted to commit suicide? I did. It was junior year of high school. I did take almost all of my tranquilizers.
Have I ever attempted suicide? Yes, I attempted 3 times in 2017, and I'm here today to share my story and to try to help as many people as I can. I got very lucky. I consumed pills and I threw up over half of them, not on purpose, but I am thankful that my body rejected everything.
Have you self-harmed?
I did used to self-harm.
I went through a very long struggle of self-harming.
I felt that when I self-harmed, it would kind of ease the pain a little bit that I was feeling inside. It was like a release of the feelings that I was having. It was a way for me to feel like I was getting some of that out.
It was a way of controlling how I felt at that time, since I didn't have any control over what I was feeling mentally.
Yes, I used to self-harm. My arms are all scarred up because of it. I would say that it's an addiction. When you actually start, you do it to relieve pain or because you think you deserve it.
What is something you would tell someone who is struggling with the same thing you are?
One thing I would want you to know, if you are struggling with anxiety or depression, you are not alone. I understand there's many people that understand. I know you may not feel like it, but there is help. It does get better. There is help and resources out there. You matter, you're not crazy, and your life is important.
Ask for help. Regardless on what kind of reactions you get or what kind of reactions you think you're gonna get, this could be one of the hardest things you have to go through. And if you don't get at least a decent support system or some treatment for it, it doesn't just disappear sometimes. Instead of weighing yourself down and trying to handle it all by yourself, reach out to somebody, whether it's a friend or a family or even like a school counselor or something like that.
In order to get out of your funk, you need to be willing to get out of your funk. I was so far down, it was so hard to get up here. Even though it was right there. I couldn't take that extra step. All it took for me to actually take that first step is the initiative and the positive mindset. The moment I had those things, I could step up the whole staircase.
You need to take it one day at a time. You need to understand that sometimes you can't always make goals till the end of the year and expect that that's the next thing. The next thing is getting through the day and getting out of bed, taking a shower and brushing your teeth, eating as you should, and not sitting around. You can't keep yourself in the dark. I know that it feels better to just sit in the room in the dark and sleep all day, but it's not good for you.
Is there enough open talk about suicide and mental illness? Absolutely not. No, there is definitely not enough talk about this. There's not enough understanding or education about this. If you don't have a brain, you cannot live. Why are we not talking about your brain being sick? And why are we having a stigma around it of it being fake just because we don't understand it? The reason people don't believe mental illness is because everybody is so different and it's so not understood through so many generations. That is why people aren't reaching out. That is why the suicide rate is so high. It needs to be talked about. You agree? People need to get an open mind. Otherwise, we're just going to keep losing people.
I don't believe that there is enough open talk about suicide and mental health. I feel like it should be prioritized a lot more than it is. There's so many people that don't understand it, and I feel like we should be educating people. Just like there's PE classes in school, they should have portions for mental health, not just physical health. I think that it's very important, especially for school-age kids, to be able to understand that they have resources to go if they need to talk to somebody.
No. Do people have enough knowledge? No, people do not. People think it's a joke. It's not a joke. It isn't something that just, oh, I get it. I totally understand. No, you can't do that with mental illness. You have to be there for a person, and you have to make sure they know that you are there to listen. If you want to be educated on mental illness and what it can do to you, and how to get through it, watch videos like this. People are sharing their stories, and people are showing you that it is possible to get through it.
I don't think there's enough open talk. We need to break the stigma. There's nothing wrong with having a mental illness. People need to accept that it's real and that we need to talk about it.
Is it possible to live with a mental illness and be happy?
Yes. I live with it every day and I am happy. I have an amazing life that I value now, and I know it might sound impossible if you're struggling and you're watching this right now, but it is possible to be happy in life with a mental illness. You just need to know that you are more than your mental illness. You are not just depression. You are not just anxiety. You can overcome.
It is definitely possible. I was planning to try again. If somebody told me I'd be in my own place right now with an adorable cat and a healthy relationship, I would have looked at you and laughed. I still have my bad days and I still have to take my mental health days, but yes, it's possible to be happy. So if you're struggling, just keep going, because you have no idea where you'll be in 5 years or even 2 years or the next 6 months.
Yes, I've been in my relationship for over a year. I held a job for over a year and a half, and for me, that is a big accomplishment. I'm finishing high school. Is it late? Yeah, it's late, but I'm finishing high school. You can live and be happy. For me, all it took was the right medication and the right mindset. They got me going to the right place. Everyone that watches this video and everyone who's struggled and everyone who's struggling understands that you can live with this. Everyone out there that's watching, I know you can get through it, and no matter how hard it is at this moment, suicide will never and has never been the answer. Be kind to people. Show people love and compassion. Show them why life is worth living, because you never know when someone's gonna need that.
It is possible to live with a mental illness and be happy. It takes work though. You have to want to be happy. It doesn't just happen. You don't wake up and decide that everything's over. That's not how you get happy. Work with yourself. Learn what you can do to control every day, and learn what things are out of control and how to breathe through it. I think that's how you be happy with everything.